Hey guys, welcome back to Tabitha Inspired TV. I have not recorded in a minute, and I am not sure why at 2:15 in the morning. I am wanting to talk to someone about something that's very important to me. So here I am. This is going to be a very chill video. I am eating an orange. I'm hungry. But I do want to talk about this topic because it is something that is very troubling, and a lot of parents are dealing with it. I want to talk about autism and behavior challenges. No! Not a lot of people speak out about it. Some are just very private. But I have dealt with this for years. And my journey was pretty intense, very, very, very emotional, very heartfelt. But the reality is I've gone through it. And because I've gone through it, if my story, my journey can help someone else, I want to share that because I need to give parents hope. Now, my son is doing better now. He's doing much, much better now. But there are still challenges that I have. And there are parents out there right now who's really, really getting a handful, and they need hope. That is what we are here for, autism parents. We have to stick together and give each other hope and share our journeys with each other. So there's so much to tell. I mean, I don't even really know where to start. But I want to start by telling you a short story. And this does not have anything to do with my son, but it has something to do with my encounter that I had with a young man who I believe was not diagnosed. I saw all of the characteristics when I was working in this facility. So I was working in the jail, and there was a young man that didn't speak. So I was doing my rounds on the unit, and he didn't talk. I would go to his cell every single time I did my rounds, and I would ask, "Hey, how are you doing? Everything okay?" He wouldn't give me eye contact, and he just didn't say anything. So the officer who was taking me around was like, "Oh, he's just deaf and dumb. He never speaks or whatever." So the one thing about this young guy, when I would go by his cell, he would always point to his ear. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what's going on with this guy's ear? So I took him upstairs to take a look in his ear. I was working as a physician assistant at this facility. And I took him upstairs to look inside of his ear. And when I did, he had the largest cockroach embedded on his eardrum that I had ever seen. And I removed the cockroach, and it was so embedded that you could see the impression of this bug embossed on his eardrum. So he had a pretty nasty ear infection. Gave him some antibiotics, gave him some pain meds, and, sent him back to his cell. And a couple of days later, I followed up with him on my rounds again to check to see how he was doing. So surprisingly, when I went around to see him this time, I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" He didn't give me any eye contact like usual. Didn't say anything like usual. But this time, before I walked away, he said, "Thank you, Miss Wilson." Thought I was going to pass out. "Thank you, Miss Wilson." I didn't even know this guy knew my name. He thanked me for, I guess, helping him with his ear. I don't know if he was having pain. He never said anything. No one ever heard him speak. But he said, "Thank you, Miss Wilson." That really hit me different because not only did I not know that he could speak, I didn't even think he knew who I was. That made me wonder, why was this guy even in prison? Was it because there was a bug in his ear? and he couldn't express himself, and maybe it was just bothering him, and he started acting out, and maybe that's why he got locked up. I don't know why he was locked up. But all I know is that he didn't speak, and after the service I provided to him, he not only thanked me, but he thanked me by my name. I don't even think I told him my name. He must have heard someone say it or something like that. But this story really hits me different because this young man looked so much like my son. It was just scary. I mean, he really not only looked like him, but his characteristics. Now, my son could speak, but everything about him was just so similar. And it made me think about why he was there. Was he autistic? Was he just misunderstood? Was it behavior? Something got him in that prison. I don't know what it is, but whatever it was bad enough to get him locked up. The reason this is so serious and important to me is because these young adults, teens, who are struggling with behavior, who are on the autism spectrum, they are at a very high risk. Very high risk for repeated hospitalizations, very high risk for being incarcerated, very high risk for multiple encounters with police or law enforcement, very high risk for life-threatening events, death. Many parents go to sleep at night not knowing what the next day will bring. Just glad to, made it through that one day. But wake up not knowing what's going to be the trigger today. What is going to cause my son or my daughter to go off? Is this going to be the day that I may never see them again? Is this going to be the day that they get locked up? Is this going to be the day of their demise? I thought that so many times as an autism mom. So many times I can't even explain. Been through numerous hospitalizations. My son was hospitalized for nearly 1,000 days. I'll repeat, nearly 1,000 days over the course of 3.5 years. And that does include the times that he was just sitting in the ER waiting for a bed. So really it was like 944, 41 days, something like that he was actually in the hospital. But he was actually waiting in the hospital beds for numerous hospitalizations. And imagine how much school he lost. He lost a lot of education time. And that's something you really can't get back. Time. He lost a lot of time with his family. Time that can't be restored. It was really, really hard going through those years of the behavior, not even knowing what it was that was causing it. The challenges, the walking on eggshells, that whole life that really wasn't life. It's like you're doing life, but not life, no peace, no ability to just take a deep breath and breathe and just know everything's going to be okay. It was very, very, very challenging. And I'm bringing this up because, again, not a lot of people talk about it. Not a lot of people know what to do about it. You just wing it. You just go through life and try to figure it out. There is therapy. there's behavior therapy, there's all kinds of therapy. But the reality is, does it really work? Because we're still experiencing these behaviors. What's the answer to all of this? What do parents do? Where do you go? Well, for children and teens under the age of 18, there are lots of services. Lots of services, even, residentials and things of that nature. But once you get 18, in most states, I believe almost every state, you're considered to be an adult. And at that point, there is no other recourse other than going through the motions as an adult for these young adults on the spectrum. There's not a lot of services available for them at that point. There's not even a lot of research that's being done at that point. Because the thing is, all these kids that are being, enrolled in these research studies, they are usually under 18. There are a lot of studies over 18. But when you're talking about severe behaviors, what's the root cause? I mean, who's studying that? There's so many studies for children, toddlers, young adults that are under 18, or rather teenagers. But once you get over 18, that's when everything becomes slim. Even the resources, the places where you can go to get help. Most places will take you if you don't have behaviors. But if you have behaviors, where do you go? That's the dilemma. Many parents, caregivers, will end up just not taking their kids out. It's easier because think about it. You go out in public acting up, then, anything is bound to happen. But if you keep them home, you're protecting them, shielding them from the community, shielding them from the police. But that's no life either. I mean, that comes with its own risks because they want to get out. They just don't know how to control their emotions. Now, me, I would take my kids to everything. I mean, my kids, they went to Broadway shows. I took them to movies. Every single birthday party there was, they were there. If they invited us, they knew my son had these challenges, but we would show up if we got an invitation. And that's really important in the younger years because if you don't take them out, they don't get any exposure. And then they got to learn how to act in public. So, yeah, you got to take them out. When they're older and you've already shielded them so much, it's a lot harder. So fortunately, I did expose, but when you have not been exposed because of the fear that parents do have because of the struggles, it's a lot harder, but it's not impossible. Definitely not impossible. There are times when I was going through these challenges, I literally cried a lot. I cried a lot, stayed up late hours trying to figure it all out, trying to put all the pieces together. What's the cause? What's the cause? Why? But it's not something that I could really figure out because it could just be as simple as raising the tone of your voice 1 octave. It could be as simple as the neighbor's dog barked. It could be as simple as you stepped on something and it made a sound that maybe was familiar in a negative way, and that caused the reaction. It could be just the word no. It could be, well, I can't have my way. There are so many things that could trigger behavior. I mean, millions of things that could trigger behavior. It's like literally fishing in the ocean for that one thing. But there's not always just one thing, which is what makes it so difficult. So I really want to give parents hope, because there are things that we can do to get our young adults out in public and to be able to really, really get the behaviors more manageable in certain ways, whether it be medication, whether it be therapy. One thing that I found is friends. It's very helpful. But think about it. Many of our young adults do not have friends that are on the spectrum. It's very difficult for them to make friends, and even more difficult to maintain friends when you are struggling with behaviors. It's a hard road, but I walked it and I made it, and you can make it too. So I want to just give you one pointer today, because it's a lot to take in, a whole lot to take in. And the one thing I would say for parents who are struggling with behavior challenges, keep a journal. Keep a journal of when the behaviors happen, and keep a journal of what was going on in that very moment that the behaviors took place. Was it something that you said and boom, all of a sudden you saw that face? You know that face I'm talking about, that you can tell something didn't rub them the right way. Keep a journal of the foods they eat. Because what I did notice with my son was certain foods actually triggered behavior. No kidding. When he was 2 years old, I would give him fruit, and he would eat red grapes and bananas, and he loved, loved, loved red grapes and bananas. He craved them all the time. And when he ate them, it was like, ugh. But what I found was, after he ate bananas, and it could be at any time. I mean, it was just really not a pattern, which was crazy. But either shortly after or maybe even a day delayed, that's when the behavior was most severe. It was most intense during that time. When he ate red grapes, same thing. And green grapes, not the same thing. But the red grapes, the bananas, something in those two foods really, really triggered this behavior. So I tried the food elimination diet, because I'm a dietitian. You know, that was my first profession, and I was very familiar with it. So I started eliminating things from his diet. And as I started eliminating things, that's when I ran across the gluten. When he was 7 years old, when I took the gluten out of his diet just before he turned 7, he was nonverbal up until then. That's when he started talking. Now, I read studies about this, but, you know, a lot of people won't confirm that that's what happened. But there are parents who have said the same thing. And for my son, taking the gluten out of his diet actually unlocked his speech. And that's another factor regarding behavior, because when you can't express yourself, that's the only way you may know how to express yourself, is through behavior. That's how you know something's wrong. But the question is, what is wrong? So the food was a huge factor that triggered behavior. Even now, certain foods will trigger behavior. When he would eat the gluten, it would give him this glassy-eyed appearance, like he was zoning, like looking into space, totally out of it. Once I took the gluten out of his diet, it was like this veil just lifted off of his face, and he was more alert, more oriented, more functional. And it was incredible how his speech just really started. He just started, you know, he had like these one words, and then he would go like babble, babble and say car, or, you know, babble, babble car, babble, babble house. And then gradually the babble would go away. And then it became short sentences, then longer sentences, then conversation. So there's something to diet, which is why it's important to keep a journal of everything. What you're eating, what you're saying, the environment that the person is in, all of those things matter. And they matter to the degree where this could actually give you an idea of where these behaviors are coming from. Now, will you know all of them? I don't know. But if you keep a journal, it will show you, or at least lead you in a direction where you can start doing a little bit more research versus starting from zero, ground zero, and having nothing. Just, I don't know where it's coming from. So that's what I would definitely say. At this point, the most important thing to do is to keep a journal of everything he eats, everything he drinks, everything he does, everything that's said, every situation, like environmental, who's around him, what's the noise level, all of that. That's a good thing to do at any age. But I would say, for any age, because I mean, you got to start somewhere. But if you have a child that's young, I would definitely start right away with that, because getting those behaviors under control is critical. I remember when the therapist, I was taking him to OT, and she said, he seems to be really not able to regulate his emotions. And I didn't really think too much about it, because, he'll grow out of it, but he didn't. And it only got worse. So I'm wishing now that I would have taken those steps, that advice that she had given me, much more seriously, because I just never imagined this. And when I say this, I'm not talking about behaviors that are like little tantrum. I'm talking some serious stuff. Some serious stuff that can be very, very life-threatening. And I'm just being real. I mean, he's not like this now, but there are some young adults out there like that. And we just don't know what the trigger is. But there is a trigger. It's just you have to find it. And that's the hard part. But we autism moms and autism dads and parents and caregivers, we are the best investigators out there. We are always looking for the reasons. We are the best researchers. We know our kids better than anyone else. So the fact that we can really monitor them if they are in the home is very, very helpful, because it's going to eventually lead you in a direction where you can start getting some answers. So I'm going to pause right here at this video, because there's so much to talk about, so much to say. I welcome your comments, questions, anything that you may have, because, you have to go through something in order to gain from it. And I've gained a lot of knowledge from my journey, things that I could go back and I wish I could do different. I know what those things are now. Okay, it's too late to do it. But like I said, I can help someone else who's traveling the same road that I've traveled. There's so much to my story that I want to share with you. It's overwhelming. I can't even begin to, even in one breath, it's so much. It's just overwhelming, literally. And parents who are on the same journey that I've traveled, you totally get it. You get the overwhelmingness of it all. And it's just so much to share, but I do want to share it. This is a topic that is very disheartening for parents. Just giving stories about what has happened in my past in dealing with behaviors. It's just an eye-opener for parents. It's going to really help you. It was a struggle, and the overwhelmingness of it all, parents who are in this situation or who have traveled the same route I've traveled, you get it. You totally understand. And it's a lot of information to have another person talk to you about what they've gone through. It helps. So I encourage parents, if you were going through a journey and you do see a light at the end of the tunnel, share your story, because really people do need to hear what's going on, and they need hope. They need hope because it's such a dark experience. Behaviors. Oh my God. Even when I would hear like a thump, it just triggers me because I'm like, oh, that's the beginning of it. You know that feeling. You know that thump or whatever it is that triggers that emotion inside of you. It brings it to the surface and it's like so overwhelmingly dark. It's like, oh God, no, not again. Going through this again. When is it going to end? So for those of you who have seen a light at the end of the tunnel, like myself, share your story, because other parents need to see a light. Even if the light seems really far away, just to know that there is hope, something to hang on to. So guys, I will see you in the next video. I'm not sure specifically what I will be talking about, but I do know it will be about autism and emotional dysregulation, better known as behavior challenges. See you soon.